This is the second part of the video series where I will tell you the only framework you need to scale up your business right now. In the first video I showed you why you need it, and on this second video I will show you how to use this framework. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. All right, so let's continue where we left off last week. So we're talking about the only framework you really need to scale your business now. So we are talking about implementing the Rockefeller habits. And last week we talked about like, why do you need to do this? I mean, what's the point? What's the benefit in actually implementing this? So this week we are talking about how to implement this. And the point really is that why Rockefeller made this kind of system, this kind of habit, is that, I mean, good management consists in showing average people to do the work of superior people. So meaning that you have so good systems and so good operations and so smooth operations going on. So it doesn't matter like how good the people actually are, because the operations are it's like a well-oiled machine that just like encourages people to really do great work.
Yeah, it almost doesn't matter what you know. Execution is everything.
Yeah, exactly. And this is really about getting execution to, I mean, optimizing execution. And it's pretty spot on what Tim Collins says, that, I mean, greatness is not a function of circumstance. It's like largely matter of conscious choice and discipline. So as a reminder, like, these Rockefeller habits are 10 different things to do. And here's basically a checklist from the Gazelle's company. So let's go through this. So number one is that, I mean, healthy team. Do you have a healthy team? So do you know how to fight without killing each other? And why do you need to be able to fight? Because you need to have disagreements when running a business. Because if everyone is agreeing, then clearly someone is not thinking. And number two is like, is the organization aligned around that main number one thing? And there can be only one like first priority. Like, everything cannot be like first priority. There can be only one number one thing. So what is number one in your company? Then these meeting rhythms. Do you have effective communication meeting rhythm in place? Then clear accountability. So is everyone really clear about what the accountabilities are, both functionally and process-wise? Employee feedback. Do you have routines in place to gather frequent employee feedback, respond and listen to it? Because, I mean, what's the point in gathering feedback or gathering feedback if you're not like doing anything about it? And most of the, I mean, the bigger your company gets, the more you are going to be alienating from the daily operations. So this means that your employees will know much better what's going on in the daily operations, and so what's going on in the company and what's going on with the customers. So that feedback needs to reach out to you as well. Same thing with customers. Like, do you have some way of gathering customer feedback? Then values and purpose alive. So are those values and purpose alive? Are they driving your HR and people systems? Because it's one thing having listing these core values and all that and have a purpose for your company, but are you actually like making it alive in your company? Then can everyone in the company articulate the strategy on vision summary? And do people have the kind of metrics to know the quantitative feedback daily, to know that are they doing a good job or not? Did they have a great day or great week? Then is all of that visible on scorecards for people? And are they seeing it like every single day? So number one, building the team. So the Rockefeller habit is that the executive team is healthy and aligned. So the items, the bullet here is that, okay, team members understand each other's differences, priorities, and styles. Team meets frequently for strategic thinking. Team participates in ongoing executive education, and the team is able to engage in constructive debates, and all members feel comfortable in participating. So one thing to do is to have this kind of DISC assessment, so dominance, inducement, submission, and compliance together with the team. So this means that everyone is basically doing this questionnaire and to figure out like what kind of personalities each one is, and do you actually complement each other, and what is the best communication style with everyone. Because after you do that, you will learn so much about not only about your team, but also about yourself. So do you remember, Rick, when we did this disc? What do you think? I mean, was it beneficial for you and your teams?
I mean, it is really good to do it, because it was like you will recognize yourself better. First of all, it's like you categorize yourself better. That's the first thing. You understand yourself better, because it's funny how well this was done in Tony Robbins, for example, this test.
Yeah,
52 pages.
Accurate.
52 pages about yourself. Like yeah. Imagine 52 pages. And the second thing was like, oh yeah, I understand my business partner better or my team better. And what we did with the team was that we went through one topic, which was maybe just 1-2 pages. And then everybody just described themselves. And other people commented like, oh yeah, you are actually like this, you know, or you are actually like that. And actually, this is what we could change. You could change about yourself if it's possible.
Yeah. And I mean, leadership is also about, I mean, being self-aware, so that you are able to lead yourself better and therefore also lead others better. And I mean, we have talked before that this responsibility process by Christopher Avery, it's really, crucial thing for us, because, I mean, we are setting the expectation for our people that how do we actually how do we behave responsibly, and then also build a training schedule, meaning some kind of like expectations for people that how should they get training and so on. And this is actually a really good book regarding teamwork, the 5 dysfunctions of a team. So the 5 dysfunctions are inattention to results, avoidance of accountability, lack of commitment, fear of conflict, and absence of trust. So this is something that you should definitely read if you haven't read it yet. And it's really easy book because it's made like this novel. So it tells a story and it talks about these 5 different dysfunctions. So number 2 is alignment. So everyone is aligned with the number 1 thing that needs to be accomplished this quarter to move the company forward. So the main thing is to keep the main thing. So define this critical number for the quarter. Then base 3 to 5 priorities on this critical number. And this can actually be go in very nicely, like sync together with your objectives and key results, meaning that, okay, your big OKR for the quarter can be just basically just this rock, and that's because that means that's your main priority, and then you have these critical numbers. And you can also basically have teams come to kind of like just emphasizing that, okay, on these 9 days we're just focusing on this specific thing. So here's a good quote by Ben Gotzi that when they had this things that it was like going to the moon and back. Either we were going to do it by all working together toward this singular goal, or then die trying. So if you can choose only one metric that drives your company forward, then what would it be? Any suggestions? And no, you cannot choose the revenue or profit, because it has to be a leading indicator and something every single person in the company knows how to contribute to that metric every day. So it has to be something you can ask any employee. Hey, Rox, what is X right now? What did you do today to improve X? So let's talk a bit about these lagging, leading, and lacking indicators. So lacking indicators is it's output oriented, so it's easy to measure but hard to improve or influence. Then leading indicators are input oriented, it's hard to measure and easy to influence. So let's take an example. So weight loss. So weighing on scale. That's a lagging indicator, meaning that it's easy to measure, but it's kind of hard to change your weight. I mean, if that's if your weight is only the metric, then it's a bit difficult. But whereas like leading indicators would be, okay, how much calories are you taking in? How much calories are burned? So this means that it's much harder to measure, but and easy to influence. Then lacking indicators. So these are like revenue, profit, costs. So these are the results of the activities of the company. So it's not something that you actually do. So the critical number. So basically there should be two of those to complement each other. For example, in e-commerce, it might be typical that it's amount of orders, and then its counterpart is the average order value, because it really matters that, let's say if that you're typically selling your product for $20, but if you have done if you are doing some ranking campaigns or some giveaways, and you're giving away like units for $1 or something, then I mean your average amount of orders is going up, but I mean average order value is going down. So then you can clearly see that how they complement each other. So
yeah. For example, I'll give one more example on this. Amount of listings you have and amount profit per product. I don't know, it just really doesn't go there, but if you increase amount of listings, then it's can easily your profit, your numbers can go down. Orders can go down because your listings are done poorly, for example. If you have less listings, then listings amount is important, but then again, like profit per product or profit per listing or orders per listing actually shows the real truth.
Yeah, it's much more important. So it means that, okay, this number one thing is the most important leading indicator that everyone contributes to. And if we take an example, let's think about airlines. So it could be this number one thing is like how quickly plane takes off after boarding starts. All right, so I mean that's pretty clear. I mean all staff will understand. Okay, I mean our main priority is just to get off the ground as quickly as possible. But if you need to have another indicator in preventing from the number one from backfiring, because let's say that your plane takes off but you don't have all the passengers in, or you don't have all the luggage in, then you're probably going to end up with pretty pissed off customers. So that's why this second number would be that making sure that all passengers and luggage are onboarded so that the plane doesn't take off too soon. So with this critical number two, you prevent the number one from backfiring, and you basically are making sure that you're doing good quality. Then, I mean, in order to assess these critical numbers, then you basically can use these traffic lights. So meaning that you're either meeting your targets or not. And to kind of spice it up, you can have these quarterly themes. So you put focus on certain things that you want to emphasize, and it can be about mindset or some campaign that you want to promote. And you can even make it just fun with some movie or superhero themes, like, I don't know, maybe about Spider-Man, like with great power there comes great responsibility.
Yeah. So Christmas time.
Yeah. Then communication rhythm. So it's basically like what kind of meetings you're having, and you definitely need to have this daily huddle. So less than 15 minutes, then weekly meetings, 60, 90 minutes, and kind of like monthly management meeting, and this quarter and annual planning meeting. So these can be those OKRs. Then weekly demos, it's basically like where every person or team presents what they have accomplished this week. So, and I can say that it only has positive impact. So it means that you get transparency, accountability, peer pressure, a sense of accomplishment, avenue for feedback, and it builds confidence and so on. And I mean, sometimes, we have been doing this for years, like having these weekly demos, and we have gotten quite a bit of resistance through the years. And I remember, like, Vic, sometimes you were also against having these demos.
The demos work when you have different teams. You know, if you have just one team, then demo is basically weekly planning already, like double times, right? You don't really, unless you have someone extra to present something, right? But the point of the demo is just to synchronize the teams, not people inside the team, because that's for weekly planning is meant for, right?
Yeah. So you basically are presenting to people outside the team that what's going on. So basically, to move faster, you pulse faster. So it's easier to make it to the boss if it goes once per day rather than once per week. And then number 4, it's about having these roles and responsibilities. So every facet of the organization has a person with accountability for ensuring that goals are met. So this means that it's basically defining the purpose and responsibilities and roles for different roles and teams. Defining responsibility for the each role in the team, like we discussed before about the Rusky model. And then defining these maximum 9 core processes of the company that the company cannot exist without.
By the way, guys, if you don't just define those things and don't tell these people that, hey, this is your process, you are accountable for this process, you are accountable for improving that process, to document this process, to make it better, then what can easily happen is that the person is doing or stop doing some processes after all, or doing them lousily, or they don't really like to do it at all. And then one day they come to you and say, hey, I want more money. Can you pay me something? And so then you ask, like, hey, have you done something to improve? Well, what do you mean? What do I need to improve? Well, these are your processes. What? My processes? Well, yeah, I've been doing those tasks. Yeah, I didn't know that they're my processes. Ah, okay, so you want more money by not improving the processes. Well, you didn't tell me to need to improve these processes, did you? So pretty simple, and that has happened to me, for example. So if you don't tell them, they don't know.
And for example, when we have one core value that's learn and drive positive change. So if you're not really actually improving things, then you're not living, then you're not abiding our values of the company. And regarding these accountabilities, if more than one person is accountable, then no one is accountable, and that's when really things fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
So for collecting this feedback from employees, Retrospectives is a good tool for that. So we hold those for weekly and just keep on improving and finding things to improve. Use your employees, use your people to find things to improve in the company. Then put that feedback and insight into action. And next one is actually customer feedback. So, I mean, gathering customer feedback and then implementing it, I mean, whenever necessary. So, I mean, obviously, I mean, listen to everything, but don't necessarily implement everything you get.
Can you go back to this later? Yeah, thanks.
And I just want to say that, I mean, let customers know when they have made an impact. Like you will definitely get some loyal brand fans. And I mean, we have done this quite a few times that we have let the customers know that I mean, they had an impact, and I mean, oh boy, they are like overly like happy about this. Yeah.
And by the way, number 5, I just want to say that if you want happy customers, how can you have happy customers if you have unhappy employees? You know, if people working in your company are unhappy and they don't like what they do, how can you have unhappy customers? You know, I mean, they might have, but eventually it's not going to work out. So having like make a Google form, simple form, like how do you like working with us? Like how satisfied are you with the feeling that we have, you know, in the teams? Like, you know, do we have fun? What's the, you know, some open-ended questions, and do it monthly. And boom, you will have so much thing that you maybe don't even see. And we are asking also rate our organization, and so we also measure the answers. And so once per month we have this score, employee happiness score.
Yes. So then number 7 is about these core values and purpose. And key thing here that they are actually alive in the organization. I mean, it's one thing having this purpose and all that stuff, but I mean, if nobody's actually living it, I mean, if nobody's actually keeping it alive, then it's kind of pointless. So it means that defining this, why does the brand exist? Why do you do what you do? And what kind of company culture do you want to have?
One more thing about this, that you don't change people, by the way. You cannot change people ever. Not your spouse, not your sister, not your husband, not your wife. You will never change other person. You think about how difficult it is for you to change yourself. Now you know how impossible it is for you to change other people. So the way you exist with other people is you define what type of people you want in your life, you know, in your organization, and then you hire those people. If you want people who learn, you hire people who learn. If you want people who are open, honest communicators, then you ask certain questions in interview, which you'll find out about it, right? If you want responsible people, then you hire responsible people, not people who cry, justify, or lay blame or shame all the time, right? So in that case, like if you do whatever you need or want to define, or who you are, or what you expect, and what's necessary for you and your customers, then this is where you get these people on the hiring process already.
Exactly. It's much more easier when you start it by when you are like before you hire people. So you can identify those things and those people that you want to have. Then number 8 is that employees can articulate the following key components of this company's strategy accurately. So BHAG means this big, hairy, or audacious goal. So it's something that you want to achieve in 5-10 years. So where do you want to be in 10 years? Like define your brand purpose in one sentence. So same thing with this core customers, your brand promise, and your elevator pitch. Like, what does your company do? Then these critical rocks. So you have this critical number. Then it's about like really like what are you doing in order to improve that critical number? So in these Rockefeller habits, there are like different rocks that you choose per quarter. So you can think of those as that's the OKR. So basically all employees can answer like quantitatively whether they had a good day or week. So it means that, I mean, you basically need to have measures, and every person has some kind of metric that they are looking at. So each employee has number one critical number that aligns with this company's critical number for the quarter. So you just define 3 to 5 big things for the quarter. And actually, I mean, less is definitely better here. So I mean, just define one thing for the quarter. I mean, that's definitely better. And then just break down that big OKR into like fortnightly achievements, so that you are able to see that whether you are on track or not. So this means that even if you mess up a few milestones here and there, you can still get back on track. Then, yeah, it's really about knowing that, okay, did I have a great day or week? So the last number 10, and actually, by the way, like these 10 things, these are not in prioritized order, except for the first couple of ones. Otherwise, you can basically choose whichever you want to have. I mean, just choose the ones that you want to improve and just take one per quarter. So the company's plans and performance are visible to everyone. So this means that you have like different kind of dashboards and goals and KPIs, and all this information is freely, I mean, easily accessible by everyone. So they can just check out that, all right, so how are we actually doing? How are we doing as a company? So these are the 10 Rockefeller habits, and this is a really useful. Here's a link for you for this PDF, so you can just start actually working on this. And I mean, you should basically start from number 1 and then number 2, but other than that, then you can just choose which ones you want to have. So I mean, choose one habit to work on each quarter. So after 1 year, you have mastered 4 of these Rockefeller habits. So I strongly recommend that you start studying this, and then I mean, then just start implementing it. So take the number 1 habit and focus on it for the next quarter, and then just see where it gets you. Any questions?
Yeah. By the way, we haven't implemented all of them. There's a lot, right? But every time I'm kind of like looking at this again and thinking about the problems that I'm facing, then I always find some of the things that I didn't apply from this list and actually applies for my problems. So that's always kind of like always been a realization for me.
Yes, and forget about perfection. I mean, point is to improve your company. Point is to get better results, and just don't get fixated on doing this perfect. And basically, I mean, we have gone through this stuff, but I mean, some of them stuff wasn't really like that useful for us. So some of them, I mean, after we tried it out, we just didn't keep everything in use. So what do you think about these 10 Rockefeller habits? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this video, then hit the thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you need help with any of these, then sign up for my free training.